Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to auscastnetwork.com for details.
In a world where everyone says hello,
they dare to say,
g'day.
Yeah, g'day.
Yeah, g'day!
Yeah, g'day. Yes. Good day. Yeah. G'day. Yeah. G'day. Yeah. Yeah. Good day.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Good day!
G'day. Hey. Yeah. G'day. Yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Welcome to Yeah, G'day, the complete guide to Australia.
Yeah, g'day.
This fine land.
It's a piece of land.
I tried to think of another adjective to go with it.
Another adjective other than fine?
Yeah, like fine, arid,
It's arid.
hot.
Hot as real hot.
Land.
It's as hot as something that's real hot at the moment, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's as hot as two hot things put together.
To create one hot thing out of two hot things, yeah.
I think that above 40 degrees should be illegal.
I would agree with you. Especially 2 days in a row as it happened this week.
Yeah, you had it down here. I was in Sydney for their 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Actually, really, above 35, above 30 should be illegal. I think above 30 should be illegal.
Yeah, 100%. Don't like the heat myself.
Let's
Not a fan.
Let's put the law in play.
Yep.
And get that happening. In this hot, dry, arid desert plain that we call home, sometimes beautiful things are created.
This is true. It inspires people.
It does. Some use paint. Some use music. Others use words.
Yeah. Sometimes those words are also then set to music later on.
Yes, and then they become part of the only three forms of art that exist, which is paint, words, and music.
Look it up.
It's there. We thought we'd take a stroll down the lane of one of the people that did the words, and then, as you said, the words are one set to music. We're talking about Banjo Paterson.
Yes, Banjo Paterson gave us some of our most iconic Australian works.
And the iconic Banjo-Kazooie game.
Yeah, a lot of
Based
people
on his
don't know.
work.
The game is actually based upon him. And it's a real likeness as well. If you look at Banjo-Kazooie and then you look at the portraits of Banjo Paterson, you'll see where they got it from.
It's weird that our $10 note has a weird bear on it, but, what are you going to do?
No. He gave us, just off the top, like probably three of the most notable works in Australian literary tradition.
Yes.
Clancy of the Overflow in 1889, Man from Snowy River, which is probably his most famous work.
I think so.
Oh, actually, no, sorry, this might be Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah, that's going to... People to the post.
In 1895. But let's talk about the man.
The man behind the words.
If you should read some of his stuff if you haven't already, because Clancy of the Overflow, I told you this story before we started.
Yes.
When I was in year 4, I had to do English groups, and I was really smart, extremely smart.
Think of the smartest person you know, and then think twice that.
So I was actually in the year 6 English groups because I was so smart and intelligent and such a smart person.
Tim could read 14-year-old.
Yes. So for some reason, their English group had to memorize all of Clancy of the Overflow.
A classic rite of passage.
Yeah, which everyone has to do, of course. So I had to do that also. Used to be able to do it. Read it just before we came on. I remember most of it. I remember the fair gist of it. I couldn't recite it to you.
How long is it, though?
It's not hugely long. It's probably like maybe 10 verses long or something.
Because Man from Snowy River is like pages, is it not?
Yeah, Man from Snowy River is a fair bit longer.
I didn't have to remember the poem, but I did a project on him. I think also in year 4. I can't remember what else I did with the project aside from probably typed it up in Comic Sans or something. Actually, back then I might have still been using the typewriter. But I made a cardboard size. I was going to say A3, but cardboard's not A3. A cardboard sized $10 note,
right,
with Banjo on it.
Oh, he gave away the ending. Yeah, Banjo's on the $10
I already
note.
said it. I already mentioned about Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah.
Now, from my memory though, it was like white. So I had to color this whole thing of cardboard with pencil. drew him in the middle. Now, I would love to see that.
I bet it would
drawing.
have been a real good.
I
portrait.
remember struggling with the hat. But the thing that really, I think, pushed me over the line in terms of artistic value is that I cut out the little section and then we put like cling wrap over it or something and then used whiteout to make the little thing.
Like a real one.
Like the real $10 note.
Did you write on it, this is not legal tender in Australia?
No, I went to the canteen
Just to
and
be
bought
sure
like
that everyone
10
knew.
juice cups.
Yeah. Fool them.
But yeah, that's my banjo experience.
Yeah. I like Banjo. He along with others of his contemporary period, wrote a lot about the bush, and especially in poems like Clancy, The Overflow. He lives in the city, he works in the city. We'll talk about his life in a second. He does not like it. No. He obviously very much would prefer to be out in the country, which is where he grew up. Clancy, The Overflow is probably the best reflection of that, I think. But I'll read...
I feel like I need to sit down and read all of these now, because I feel like I'm not as well versed as I should be.
Yeah, well... National icon. His full name, Andrew Barton Paterson.
AB
Paterson. Born at Narrambla, which is near Orange.
Oh.
The property is called Narrambla.
Does he know
apparently.
Libby?
He might know Libby. Libby,
do you know
Banjo Paterson? Near Orange in New South Wales. He was the eldest son of Andrew Bogle Paterson.
Bogle?
Invented the game Bogle.
Bogle, yeah.
It's Bogle. So Bogle? I don't even know.
That doesn't sound like a real name.
He was a Scottish immigrant from Lanarkshire and Australian-born Rose Isabella Barton, who was related to the future first Prime Minister of Australia, Edmund Barton.
Oh. And wait, Banjo's middle name was Barton, right?
Yes.
Right. Oh.
So, yeah, Andrew was related to the first Prime Minister of Australia.
Strong bloodline.
So they lived on an isolated Buckenbar station near Yeovil. They lived there until he was 5. His father was a shearer, but he lost what they referred to as lost his wool clip, which means everything that they had clipped off the sheep in that season, they lost in a giant flood that went through the area at that time.
I was going to say, how do you lose that much wool?
Yeah,
Floods.
So they were forced to sell up, unfortunately, but then his uncle ended up dying, and the family took over that farm near Yass somewhere. It's called Illawong.
Okay.
Yass is between Melbourne and Sydney. It's kind of along the main road.
Yes.
Well, kind of off the main road, but
Correct.
People know where it is.
Queer Eye went there.
So he spent a lot of time out on these farms. He obviously saw a lot of bullock teams, cob and co coaches, which were pretty common at the time, drovers, all very familiar sights, taking the animals all around. Early education, started being educated by a governess, but he ended up going to Sydney Grammar School.
Oh, right.
In 1874. He did quite well as a student and a sportsman, they say.
Oh, bit of a footy player.
Really into these sports.
Go sports.
He lived in the cottage called Rock End. This is probably relevant to people that know anything about Sydney Grammar School. So he lived in a cottage called Rock End, everybody, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, Rock End at
what
Sydney
that
Grammar.
means.
Yeah, of course.
He actually left the school at 16 after failing an examination for a scholarship at University of Sydney, but he later went on to become a law clerk. At the Sydney-based firm headed by Herbert Sawley, and was admitted as a solicitor in 1886. So he worked as a solicitor for a while, but while he was working as a solicitor, he started up his writing career he was writing poetry and sending it to the Bulletin, which was a literary journal in Australia at the time. It was very heavily nationalist in its focus. It was very... We want to talk about how great Australia is.
Right.
His earliest work criticised the British war in the Sudan, apparently. But over the next decade, he just kept getting stuff published, and he never published under his own name. He published under the pseudonym The Banjo. The Banjo, which was the name of his favourite horse, apparently.
Not just a banjo.
No, the banjo. He is the Banjo. And so through the 1890s, he became a very, very popular writer, obviously all of his work being published in the Bulletin.
Yep.
He became quite good friends with other writers around the time, E.J. Brady, Harry Morant, Will Ogilvie, I don't know who that is, to be honest, and Henry Lawson, of course. And Henry Lawson and Paterson struck up. We'll do one about Henry Lawson sometime.
We have to.
Became had a bit of a friendly rivalry in their verse about the allure of the Australian bush.
Yes.
Which is quite an unusual rivalry to have. They tried to out ride each other
Yeah.
and how beautiful the Australian
I'll
bush
show
was.
you how beautiful the Australian bush is, you bastard.
But they both ended up becoming extremely popular and well-known Australian poets.
Yeah.
Patterson actually worked as a war correspondent for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age during the Second Boer War, sailing for South Africa in 1899. He wrote about relief in the Kimberley, wrote about the Boxer Rebellion, where he met George Chinese Morrison. Later wrote about his meeting. I don't actually know about much of his actual correspondence work, to be honest.
Yeah.
After 1908, rather, not 1988.
No.
He went to the UK, decided to abandon journalism and writing, and he ended up moving with his family to a 16,000 hectare or 40,000 acre
Jesus.
property near Yass.
Well, he was probably, like, fucking loaded. Like, he'd been a solicitor.
Yeah.
Then he was working.
Oh, he's got a fair bit of money by this
writing.
point, I think.
So, no wonder he bought the biggest property possible.
Not to mention bloody property values back then. No,
Oh,
you wouldn't
back
even.
in my day.
You could buy anything, couldn't you?
2 shillings for 40,000 acres.
He ended up. I think he actually ended up becoming a correspondent again during World War One, though. And he did become an ambulance driver with the Australian Voluntary Hospital.
Bless him.
In France during World War One as well. Returned to Australia in 1915 as an honorary veteran. Travelled on 3 voyages with horses to Africa. I don't really know what that's about. That's just something that he did.
Was he taking the horses? Was he looking after the horses?
He went to Africa, China, and Egypt. So I think maybe they were delivering
Horses.
to the army. So
Here
he
are all
went
your
on
horse
those.
needs.
So he served in France. He was commanding officer at a unit based in Cairo at one point.
Right.
So he did that. He was discharged from the army, having risen to the rank of major in April 1919. And his wife joined the Red Cross, worked in an ambulance until then near her husband. So that's kind of cool. He came back. He published a 3rd collection of poetry. I haven't talked about him doing his actual poetry so much yet. This is just kind of shit that's going on in his life. And he played rugby league in the 1920s for the Sydney Sportsmen and wrote about them. Sorry, he wrote about rugby league.
Right. I was going to say he played.
He didn't play.
He played for the newspaper.
He played for the newspaper specifically.
Yeah. All right.
Some fun stuff about his personal life. And he married Alice Emily Walker on the 8th of April 1903 at Tenterfield Station.
Tenterfield.
Yeah.
Peter Allen.
And their first home was in Queen Street in Woollahra. They had 2 children, Grace, born in 1904, and Hugh, born in 1906. He had previously been engaged to a woman by the name of Sarah Riley for 8 years.
Long engagement.
But it was abruptly called off in 1895 after they visited her at Dagworth Station in Queensland, where she was visiting the McPherson family, and that's actually where... So Patterson met his fiance's, Sarah's best friend. Her name was Christina McPherson, who composed a certain piece of music, which he would later put lyrics to, Waltzing Matilda, one of the most famous songs in Australia.
Yep.
But he was suddenly asked to leave the property, and there's no documented evidence as to why, but historians think that this may have been because he was something of a ladies' man and perhaps attempted to put himself upon this young lady. As to whether he was successful in such a thing, I'm not sure, but it indicates that, yes, he had to get out of there quite quickly.
Oh, banjo.
Yeah.
It's these bloody romantic types. Write their poetry.
Yeah.
They sleep with their fiance's best friends.
Yeah.
It's a classic love story.
We've all been there.
We've all done it.
Yeah. He actually ended up dying of a heart attack, 5th of February 1941. He was 76. And his grave, along with that of his wife's, is in the northern suburbs, Memorial Gardens and Crematorium in Sydney.
Oh, wait. I think I've been there, maybe. Oh, maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good innings, 76.
76, not bad at all.
Coming up on his anniversary.
He did a lot with his life as well.
I'm surprised by all the war stuff, the ambulance driving. I just thought he was a writer.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about his writing now. So, The Man from Snowy River and 5 Other Ballads was published in the Bulletin, and that made the Banjo, as he was known at that time, a household name.
The Banjo.
1895, Angus and Robertson published these poems as a collection of Australian verse. The book sold 5,000 copies in the first 4 months of publication, which does not sound like a lot, but remember, at this time, that is like a lot.
No
of
internet,
books.
no publicity aside from the newspaper or maybe some telegraph messages.
Printing is not a particularly easy thing to do at this time as well.
That's heaps. Well,
Yeah.
it's like more than 1,000 a month. First 4 months, 5,000 books. That's insane.
So yeah, 1895, that gets kind of mass distributed. Everyone's raving about Man from Snowy River. 1895 is also when he goes to Dagworth and meets Macpherson and writes Waltzing Matilda. But there's a bit of debate about Waltzing Matilda.
About who wrote it?
Well, not so much about who wrote it, but how he came up with it.
Oh, right.
So there's like the theory that he kind of stole it from a previous existing, I think, Irish song or
Oh, I think I have
Scottish
heard.
song.
Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be any actual documented evidence for that. But
Yeah.
there's a bit of theory that it's not as original as
Appropriate.
everyone would like it to be rather.
But on the Man from Snowy River part, like, at that time as well, it was probably, I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but he's probably one of our, earlier written, published, printed Australian authors, because it's like 1800s. So again, people in Australia would have probably been like, hell yeah, like something written here that we can read about here. Like they would have eaten it up. It would have been, something new and different.
Yeah.
I've probably just like trampled over. There were probably thousands of authors in the early 1800s that I don't know about.
There'd be one or two, yeah,
At least
for sure.
one.
So yeah, that's his poetry was always circulating out there. He did quite well with it all. He got 3 major publications, like in terms of collections, from what I understand.
Right. When was Clancy?
Clancy was before, so 1889, and then Man from Snowy River was 1890. But I think they were kind of published together. And I believe the Man from Snowy River actually also references Clancy.
It does.
It talks about Clancy in the poem.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a nice little tie-in.
He also authored 2 novels. There's one called An Outback Marriage, which he wrote in 1906, and The Shearer's Colt, that's Colt, which is a gun, I believe.
Pony.
Oh, maybe it's a pony.
Pony's a cult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe it's referring to a pony, maybe it's referring to a rifle. Who knows?
What's it called again? The
The
Shearer's.
Shearer's Colt, Colt.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's meant to be ambiguous.
There's a play on words. Maybe he's talking about a religious cult.
Yeah, he also wrote many short stories, one collection of which is called 3 Elephant Power and Other Stories from 1917, and also wrote a book based on his experiences as a war reporter called Happy Dispatches in 1934. And he also wrote a book for children called The Animals Noah Forgot, 1933. I'd be interested to read that.
I wonder if that's about like Australian animals.
Yeah, I'd like to read some of his other work. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I'm only used to, like, as I said, we've only read or heard his poetry. This sounds interesting to be reading something non-fiction.
Yeah, so he's been compared to Lawson in an interesting way as well, because he's very flowery about a lot of the bush stuff and like how beautiful it is. And I think Lawson's very flowery as well in that regard, but he's also quite truthful about the harshness of living in the bush. So they definitely have that comparison.
Banjo
as well.
romanticizes the bush.
He definitely does. Clancy of the Overflow, like I was saying, probably the last in the actual whole poem. I think there's only 3 or 4 verses which actually talk about the bush and Clancy being in the bush. The rest of it is him talking about the fact that he's stuck in the city and how disgusting the city is, and how he can hear kids outside cursing, and it's gross, and you can hear the trams, blah, and all this crap.
You know when you're sitting in your solicitor's office working, all you can hear outside is kids going, "Oh fuck,
yeah,
shit."
He does not like it. And then the last one is like, man, I wish I was Clancy because I don't want to fucking be here, basically. Like, he very much romanticizes the bush. I don't think he was enjoying his time, which I guess is he ends up moving out there with his whole family, buying that big property. So
he didn't want to go either. Like, they went because the flood and all that shit. Like, they had to sell up and move out because they went broke, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's interesting.
Forced removal.
So Jack Thompson has done a contemporary recording of some of Banjo's works.
Jack Thompson is the best.
Jack Thompson also, there's a movie, 1982 film adaptation of Man from Snowy River, and Jack Thompson plays Clancy.
Is that the one
in
with,
the movie?
What's his name? That guy that was in... He used to be on like Dancing with the Stars, or like that one of those pop shows. The guy that I think played the Man from Snowy River. Tom someone?
Tom Burlinson
Yeah, that's the
as
one.
Jim Craig.
Yeah, he
Yep.
used to be on one of those shows where they had a panel of judges. I can't remember which one it was. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a-
I vaguely know what you're talking about.
Jack Thompson reading poetry is amazing. I think I've shared some in one of the pages before because when I've taught poetry and I've found him doing readings of different things, and he has this amazing voice to listen to. So we'll definitely have to get his.
Jack Thompson lives in
Banjo.
Coffs Harbour, and I do actually Keaton, my friend Keaton, who does
Oh,
the
the doodles.
paintings and stuff. He was friends with his son, I believe.
Right.
We might have a string that we can pull there to talk
Keaton.
to Jack.
Well, I was in a movie with Jack Thompson. No big deal.
Well, there you go.
I was in a room with him. I was in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
And he has no idea who I am.
Oh, no doubt, no
I
doubt.
was just a free extra that day.
So, Legacy Banjo's on the $10 note here in Australia.
He is wearing his hat.
Yep. And along with a little illustration that's inspired by the man from Snowy River, I
Got some
believe.
ponies coming down a hill.
He was on a postage stamp in 1981. What else?
They named a banjo after him.
Yes, that's very 100% true. Do not look that up. You can just trust us on that one. Yeah, that's about it.
I always talk about. I think we've talked about it many times on here because it's important. Was the old at the Easter show, which is for those playing at home. It's
Of course, yeah.
It's a big fair essentially in Sydney that happens around Easter. It goes for like 3 weeks, something like that. It starts like the week before the Easter holidays, and it goes for the school holidays and ends during the school holidays.
It's very agricultural.
Yeah. Well, I think it's losing some of those roots.
Yeah.
But like you go and you watch wood chopping, you get corn on a stick, you get turkey legs.
You look at
go
all
to
of the prize
flowers.
animals and all this
Yeah,
crap.
prize animals, prize cakes. There's an art section. There's rides, and then there's like the arena shows and that. And in the nighttime, they have the arena show that's always got like some kind of either motocross or Holden car driving. Last time that we went, were you there with us when we went at that time? And there was like the
Synchronized driving stuff.
yeah, but it was like there was that one where it was the huge Hills hoist, and then the huge like zip tap came out. They had like all these like Australian icon things that they like put on the back of the
Vaguely.
monster truck and drove it around. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they do a lot of weird stuff.
They did all that, but they used to always do performance of the Man from Snowy River.
Yes.
Then they started alternating between the Man from Snowy River and Bluey the Cattle Dog.
Yeah.
But the Man from Snowy River, seeing it performed is crazy because it's in this huge, outdoor arena. They make a makeshift hill on like one side that has like rocks and trees on it and everything. And because part of the Man from Snowy River, like it focuses on like, I think the wild horses either getting away or like horses getting away or wild horses needing to be captured. I feel like, there's some kind of intricacy about that. And so at one point in this, as I said, live performance, fuck ton of horses just get released.
Yeah.
And they just let them down this hill and then they get like, they round them up. And from what I can tell, I think the rounding up is pretty much like
100%
happening.
real, yeah.
So they have like a whole bunch of stockmen and stock women like riding around catching them. They have people cracking whips. There is a dog involved still, even though it's not Bluey. But yeah, so I used to like it. Probably made me cry because everything fucking makes me cry. But like, it's just...
It was pretty cool. I do remember
It's
seeing
a proper spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, a live performance and there's like hundreds of horses.
real mustering and everything.
It's good.
It's pretty cool. This is the other thing I was going to say. In 1983, a rendition of Waltzing Matilda by country and western singer Slim Dusty,
Slim.
another Australian icon that we'll talk about one day, was the first song broadcast by astronauts to Earth.
Really?
Yeah. For some reason, they played it up there and played it back to Earth.
Why that?
I have no idea. Could not tell you.
Like the first song ever?
The first song that they ever played in space that they played back so Earth could hear that they were playing it. Yeah.
Was Slim Dusty's Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah.
Who was on that flight?
I
Was it
have no
Steve-O
idea.
and James from down the road?
I have no idea.
Oi, fellas, we got something for you. Houston, here's some Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Slim Dusty is an iconic country singer. Even like,
I didn't think he was astronomical, though.
yeah. Well, apparently he is. Yeah.
When I think of Waltzing Matilda, I'd probably think more about John Williamson.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a bit of both. It's just one of those songs that probably every country singer's sung at some point.
Or is it John Williamson or Slim Dusty that does, and they all sing Waltzing Matilda? That song that is not actually Waltzing Matilda. You know the one?
I couldn't tell you.
Where it's all like, and they all say, Waltzing Matilda. Yeah, I don't know. What am I, an Australian expert that has a podcast about Australia?
Yeah.
Who am I to say? What am I to say?
Hang on. Are these facts?
No. We've told you this. They're not fact. There you go, Tim. What's that sound?
I don't know. What is it?
It's cars driving past the window.
Ah, okay.
And it's Harold Holt Watch. Can I leave that in there? So
Sure.
I'm either going to leave it or cut it. But if I cut it, Tim just weirdly groaned, as when we usually sit here in pure silence.
Harold Holt Watch.
Tim, it's Harold Holt Watch, and I don't know why I'm sitting here like there's nothing going on because I've got it here in my
Yeah,
hand.
I know.
It's
Well, you're
written
waiting for me to get it?
Yeah, Tim, get it out. Here we go. Dear Tim and Leon, my name is Clarence, and I think I saw Harold Holt the other day. I was buying a cheesy mite scroll from Baker's Delight
Obviously.
when I had the craving for a finger bun.
Oh, okay.
Well, like, savoury, dessert.
Yeah.
I searched high and low in the cabinet, but I couldn't see any. I asked the lad at the front counter if they had any, so he shouted to the baker out the back, Harry, do we have any more finger buns? Harry said, yep, coming up, mate. An old man came from the back area with a tray full of finger buns. As he stood up, he gave me a wink and walked out the back.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was halfway home and halfway through the bun that I realised I recognised that face. It was Harold Holt himself.
Oh, bloody hell.
Anyway, I thought you would like to know. Keep up the good work and let the good times overflow. Clancy.
Classic. What a well-written and well-connected
To what? I
young
have no idea.
man. Yeah.
But the writer of that, I think, deserves a pat on the back.
Yeah, congratulations. I would ask Clancy why it took him so long to eat that finger bun, though. How far is his home from the shop?
I don't know. Could be
He's eating it slowly.
5-10 minutes. Well, he had to eat his cheesy mite scroll first.
Yeah.
Think about it, Tim.
Jesus.
Think about it. Man, I want a finger bun so badly.
Yeah, okay.
They're delicious.
They are alright, aren't they?
Well, there you go. Harold Holt's in Baker's Delight. I thought Harold Holt would be more of a Brumbies man myself.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
it's one that you could have.
Yeah.
But good on him,
Congratulations.
Making an honest wage, unlike the other bloody politicians in Australia. Come on now. Come
bloody,
on now.
Yeah, nah, bloody, yep.
I believe the Hottest 100 was played yesterday.
Yeah, that's something that happens that people do.
Yeah, as we said the other time, they've now moved it off the date that is Australia Day because of the right reason to move it.
Yeah.
And as you would have also seen, we were relatively silent throughout Australia Day.
We were.
We posted one thing. The winners are from the Northern Beaches.
Oh, well, there you go.
I know none of them.
Okay. What are their names? Or the name of the band? I don't
I don't
follow contemporary music, so...
Yeah, I didn't know half of them in there. As I said, the only person that... I think Lime Cordial was in there. I'm aware of their work. They I think I saw some... They were 81 or something.
Right.
And there was that one that I was talking about that I posted in the group where it's I don't know how you meant to say it, because it's CHLXE or something. And it's this girl that I know, Chloe, that I used to go to church stuff with or whatever. But she was in this... I don't know if she actually was in the Hottest 100, but she was in the votes for it. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But that's what I said. I went to her Spotify and her song had over 1 million plays. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Not bad.
But yeah, as per usual, a lot of people had their celebrations, sat in the pool, had a couple of drinks, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, as with every year, I've got no idea who any of the bands were.
No, not for me. Unless John Farnham's in the top 10, you're not really going to get me much interest.
I can't work out if people are happy, though, is always my thing. Because it always gets to the winner, and some people are like, yo, Biote, and other people are like, oh, this is bloody wrong.
I don't even know. I wonder if most people even know what half of them are. I don't even know.
Do you think it's when people do the whole oh, yeah, totally, yeah, I love that music.
Oh, yeah, no, I knew this song was going to win. Did you?
One time I went to a party with people from Kurutosh, and back then, they were all hipsters.
Yeah.
And I definitely, with another guy who was kind of on the same level as me as not being as hipster as them, spoke about a band that didn't exist and got people to react to it as if it was a band that existed.
Yeah.
Because I'm hilarious. Aren't I just?
Fuck the establishment, I guess.
Patriarchy.
Yeah.
I think that's everything. So make sure you're following us on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, @YeahG'day Podcast. Send us emails. Not about anything, just send us an email.
Yeah.
No one ever, you know what? No one ever asks, how's Tim and Leon?
Email is a way to communicate, people, so let's fucking communicate.
No one ever says, g'day, Tim and Leon. We say it to each other. We say it to everyone. What do we get back? Shit all.
Yeah.
I hate this podcast and I hate all of our listeners.
Yeah, that should get everyone on side. Well done.
I wish we had less. But yeah, so do all of that. Try to keep cool as the heat's coming up.
Yep.
And I go to work tomorrow.
Ah, me too.
Well, yeah, but you've already been back at work.
Yeah, I know, so it's not a big deal.
No, this is me going back after like not working for 7 weeks or whatever it is.
If you want to take a chill pill, maybe read some Banjo Paterson.
Yeah, definitely read some Banjo. As I said, we'll post some stuffs, but get a head start. I'm gonna have to look into it because I'm severely behind on it.
Yeah.
Turns out. I think that's everything. Thanks as always to Teylor Smirl for our wonderful cover art.
And Curtis Fernance, Fern Tree Music. He's got the hair of a Brumby, of a stallion.
Untamable.
No doubt Clancy would muster that.
Oh, I'd muster that.
Anyway,
Is that how farmers like pick up people?
I guess so, yeah.
I'd muster that.
Yeah.
What a Brumby.
Also, he gave us the music for our introduction,
Yeah, he did that.
and Harold Holt watch. So
Harold
cheers
Holt
to that.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Thanks to our listeners. You guys are doing great. I know I just said I hated you, but it's like a good hate.
Yeah. Yeah. If that
You're
exists.
turning me into the new Marilyn Manson. I'm like Norma Jean over here,
Yeah.
doing everything for the fans. Yeah, that's everything. All right, as always, yeah, g'day, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, Leon.
Yeah, g'day, everyone.
Yeah, g'day, everyone. Catches on the flippity evil up.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.